Welcome back to another breakdown. James Delace here from Sweet Science of Fighting, and we're going to look at Otto Wallin's training camp for the fight just over the weekend. Now, I don't know if this video is actually his training camp. Someone's just put together some clips, I'm assuming from his social media. So again, we're going to have to make inferences mostly just based on exercise selection, not knowing, how many weeks out from a fight he is, what the rest of his training routine looks like, etc., etc. But I still think it will be a good insight into what someone's doing and kind of walk you through potentially why he might be doing something like this. So there's only a short little clip of his strength conditioning in this. So I've just pretty much skipped straight to it once it gets there. Here we go. Perfect. So in the rack, I haven't watched all of it, so we'll see what comes up. So it looks like there's not too much weight. Alright, so we're going to do pin squats. Alright, looks about 110 kilos, I think. It's either 110 or 130. So quarter squat to pins, and then driving up. Nice. So I'm actually a big fan of that exercise. The squat off pins. So typically I like to start from the pin, so it's a true dead stop, so you just have no stored elastic energy from that eccentric portion. Makes it 10 million times harder starting from that position. But I like the quarter squat. I know a lot of people, like starting strength coaches, I'm looking at you, who think everything must be parallel with a squat, otherwise it's not a squat, etc., except this is not powerlifting, but I'll digress. So quarter squat's a nice variation. It's been shown to transfer better to jump and sprint performance compared to full lifts. That doesn't mean not to do the full squat, but at certain times of the year, for example, if this is a video from his training camp for the fight, this would be the perfect time to do something like this. You get more quote-unquote specific in terms of transfer. You're able to lift typically heavier loads in this, so you can really overload that maximal strength stimulus without getting really sore. And you're not getting really sore because, 3, you have a reduced range of motion. That reduced range of motion makes it a lot easier to recover from than doing a full squat. So I really do like this in this period. When you're going off the pins, for example, you could just do a quarter squat without the pins, kind of just going part way down and back up. And that would be more of a, as you could say, utilizing that elastic energy component. Or when you're going off the pins, you're developing, I guess you're training more quote unquote starting strength or acceleration strength. It's coined a couple of different terms. Essentially, it's the ability to rapidly produce force from a dead stop. Now, there's very few sporting actions where you're going to, from a very dead stop, produce a lot of force. One really good example of an athlete that would do that would be a 100-meter sprinter coming out of the blocks. You're stuck in that one position. From a dead stop, you have to blast your way out. To some extent, boxers can be in that because you don't want to telegraph your punch by winding up. There's still small elastic components. Obviously, like within combinations, you have a lot of elastic components too, but still developing this quality is beneficial for all combat athletes, and it's not going to make up the entire program. You're not just going to do everything from a dead stop. So doing something like this is really good from the pins. Just make sure if you're going to lower it down to the pins, do it very slowly, because you will ruin your bar very quickly if you start slamming it down. So the goal would be to try get it down to the pins as quietly as possible. So even slower than that, ideally. But depends on the equipment. So I think we got some more stuff coming up. I know there's some more stuff. Let me skip forward a little bit. There we go. So we got heavy dumbbell side bends. The dumbbell side bend actually, you don't see it used much or programmed much. It kind of got, I think it got poo-pooed along with the whole sit-ups like 10 plus years ago when Stuart McGill and all then came out saying that sit-ups will destroy your spine, etc. Except that's just not true. I think side bends also got lumped into that category because you have spinal flexion from the crunches and sit-ups. Then you have like spinal lateral flexion from these heavy side bends. But for developing the obliques and just the trunk generally, this is a really nice exercise to do. And start light. Don't do this. Don't do this heavy when you first start. Damn, you'll be sore. But yeah, I like this exercise. And we got some more stuff coming. Perfect. Here's a nice little medicine ball variation. So it'll be an explosive medicine ball chest pass, and then he's just, I guess, decelerating with that front leg and alternating the legs. So you could almost use this in place of something like a split jerk as an example. That will be similar-ish. Obviously, with the medicine ball, you can really put a lot of effort into it. It's a little lighter as well, so it's more speed-based versus strength-based in terms of the exercise. So it's a nice little medicine ball variation. Got more of the. Boom. Nice. I shouldn't have paused that. So there we go. Then our medicine ball punch throw. Nice and rhythmic with power. Damn, I should see more strikers doing stuff like that. I swear you never see it. I don't know why. It's great training. I think that's all we have for the strength and conditioning. The medicine, like, if you're a striker or MMA, I mean, even grapplers to some extent, but mainly through strikers and MMA, if you're not using medicine balls or you don't have one, you need to get one. They should be one of your main training tools to develop the ability to transfer force and momentum from the floor through to your hands. Obviously, you're already doing that when you're striking, but you can overload these movements with the medicine ball without kind of breaking down your technique. So one of the issues people have with I guess gloves that are too like really heavy weighted gloves, or just having weights in your hands, as it can deteriorate technique. Now obviously if you're doing a lot of striking and stuff and you're more advanced, it's probably not going to, which is fine. Obviously shadowboxing with weights doesn't really serve any purpose in terms of punching power, because it doesn't come from your hands, plus gravity goes down, so holding dumbbells doesn't make any sense in that aspect because you're punching horizontally. And we know that most of the hardest punches, the contributions come from the legs. And having a medicine ball means you have direct feedback in how far the ball goes, or how hard you throw, or how hard it hits the wall. And you can make adjustments to be able to push harder with your legs, rotate harder with your hips, etc., be faster, and be able to transfer that force through to your hand. So medicine ball throws should be a staple within your training. It doesn't have to be punch throws like this. It can be rotational throws from the waist. It can be scoop tosses vertically. It can be push press throws. It can be chest passes like he was doing before. There are a lot of different variations you can use within your training. Now, where it typically fits within your training program, it kind of depends where you are within, you could say, your fight year or calendar. I mean, it can fit pretty well anywhere, but there's some places that I typically like to do it. It's either one near the beginning of the session where you're freshest because you want to develop power, typically. So you might be doing various throws before you get into your heavier work. Two, you can use it as a complex. So for example, a really nice complex that I like is a heavy landmine rotation. So if you're not familiar, using a landmine with the barbell in there, and then you're just rotating side to side, but using your hips, keeping your hips involved in that. Doing that, then supersetting that with a rotational medicine ball throw. So you get like a heavy rotational stimulus into a power speed-based rotational stimulus to potentiate that second one. So that's a really nice combination that you can use. So that would be kind of two areas I would look to use medicine balls within your training. If you're near the beginning, say for example, you've just had a fight, you've got, 6 to 12 month layoff or whatever it is, and you've got a while, then you might look to do more extensive medicine ball circuits. If you search extensive medicine ball circuit on YouTube, there are plenty of examples, and it's just essentially light rhythmic medicine ball throws against the wall. It doesn't have to be always against the wall if you don't have one. And you're doing these as a conditioning stimulus or as a work capacity stimulus to prepare yourself later down the line for more intense throws, etc. So these things can be great upper body conditioners with the medicine ball circuits. So that's another place it can be used, especially within a boxer's routine. So instead of doing, if you've watched the previous video on Anthony Joshua doing random burpees and stuff like that, you could replace that with medicine ball circuits. And it's a good way to develop, I guess you could say, still be within similar movements within boxing, and developing and conditioning those muscles to those movements without actually doing boxing. So that's something that you can look to do as well. And yeah, search those extensive medicine ball circuits up on YouTube. There's plenty of examples there that you can use within your training that can be used as conditioning versus just some other random shit. But I will catch you in the next breakdown.